Thanks, John. Jarrett, everything seemed like a struggle for Miami today.
Right.
Defensively, what was so significant about being able to hold this team to under 90 points in Game 3 of the playoffs?
I feel like every single defensive possession, we were where we needed to be at the right time. We played with a certain intensity that didn't allow them anything easy, shots, dribbles, anything. And I think that's just translated to the offensive end as well.
This one was important. I mean, this is Game 3. This was a day game, a chance for Miami to gain some momentum. Yet you guys completely squashed that. What type of statement do you make with that?
Right. It's an early game. A lot of people have trouble waking up early for games like this. We made an emphasis to sacrifice something. Go to bed early. It's Miami. You can get caught in a lot of traps being out by the pool for hours doing all that. But we wanted to lock in and try to give this game our best shot.
Hey, you woke up for the beginning of this game. What got into you today?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to show the team some intensity. I wanted be the one to kickstart it, get us rolling, and then let everybody else handle the business down the fourth quarter.
You've relied on your depth all season long. You were without Darius tonight. And really, I could have interviewed anybody because everybody stepped up big. To do this in the playoffs just as a team, play in the right way. Talk to you about that.
It just shows how locked in we are from 1 to 18. I feel like literally everybody came in and did their job, whether it's Donovan, Evan, Max especially. And shout out Jalen Tyson. He came in, we were up by 30, but he didn't let them slow him down. He was passing the ball, hitting threes, doing it all.
All right, so you're up in the series 3-0. How does it feel that the next win, you advance to the postseason?
Right. It would feel good when we win it. We still have a job to do, that quote. But it would be good to get some rest for the next series and just pave the way for what we're trying to do.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Guys. Dre, this one seemed like Miami, it was a struggle for them offensively to start this game and to close this game. How did you play with the defensive force that you guys did from opening tip tonight?
I mean, that was a focus for us. We wanted to come out aggressive, especially on the defensive end. We knew they were going to try to punch first, hit first, especially being down 2-0. But I think we did a good job coming out with energy today.
As Kenny said in his post-game presser, he said, look, this is why we traded for Dre. This is exactly the guy that we thought that we were getting. You and I talked about the confidence that you have in these moments, but what was your mentality in this game?
Just to be aggressive. Don came up to me, told me to be aggressive, especially with DG out. So that's what I tried to do.
When you look at this win, it wasn't one guy. It was everybody. True team win. You were out one of your starters. Everybody had to step up. What kind of stands out to you most about how you won in this Game 3 of the playoffs?
I think it just shows how deep our team is. I think we proved it all year, but to see it in the playoffs, especially with an all-star down, we had everyone from the last guy to get in. They helped us tonight, so I think it just shows our depth.
Obviously, you guys had a big lead coming out of halftime. They went on a little run there, and Kenny talked about how you guys were able to keep your head above water, keep the composure. How do you guys think you maintained that?
I mean, composure was something we talked about before the game. Like I said, we knew we were coming into a away game. Like I said, they were going to come out with a lot of energy. But, whether they went on the run, whether we went on the run, we just wanted to keep, a level head, don't get too ahead of ourselves, just keep playing the game. And I think we did a good job playing full 48 tonight.
Kenny talked about the pressure that Evan and Jarrett are able to put on Bam defensively. What does that do for the rest of the unit when they're able to force him into so many decisions and mistakes that they did?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, not only are they doing that, but they're also guarding on the perimeter as well. I think having those two guys in the game not only helps us, guarding the paint, but it kind of helps us being able to switch as well because they can switch on guards, and we don't feel uncomfortable, with them switching on guards. So just that versatility really helps us a lot.
Ty, felt like every possession offensively for this Miami team, you guys made a struggle. How much was just the overall defense a priority heading into this game?
Yeah, I mean, defense travels for sure. I thought we did a better job tonight of when we missed some shots throughout the course of the game. Our defense didn't waver ever. Everyone was locked into the game plan. We didn't have many lapses on that end, and that's important as we move forward.
How big was exactly what you said coming out of halftime? They obviously hit some shots coming out of half. You guys were up 20, but you just stayed above water.
Absolutely. We knew if we answered that first punch, as you get later and you're up 20, teams tend to quit and waver. So we knew how important it was to answer that first punch.
What did you make of what Dre did out there tonight?
Phenomenal on both ends of the ball and on the glass. But that's honestly who he is. That's why we got him. I've seen that for the last 10 years.
You're taking a commanding lead in this series, up 3-0. Kenny talked about how in his career he's realized like freshness is important. So the quicker you can close out a series, the better. How much is that motivation too heading into Game 4?
For sure. I mean, obviously we want a week off would be great. And you don't want to give a team like this life. They've made runs before. They're battle tested. Their best players are battle tested. So when you have them on the ropes, you got to put them away, and you don't want to give them life. So Game 4 is going to be really important for us.
Early on, you guys were a little bit sluggish, and you were down 9, and then you and DeAndre come in and followed up with an 18-0 run. What was the mentality coming in at that point?
Just to come in and bring some life to the game. Like you said, we started off a little sluggish. I think only Jay had scored in the first 5 or 6 minutes. So just to, like I say every game, I try to bring pace and, read the flow of the game and take what the defense gives me, and that was the mindset.
Is it hard to not react to the score at that point and try and do too much?
No, I mean, I get in the game and I try to play with pace and take what the defense gives me. And early that was the pocket or some spray outs, and as the game goes on, the paint gets a little wider and you get to attack those gaps. But I never react to the score. Just try to, like I said, take what the defense gives me.
One of the things Kenny talked about was the amount of pressure that Evan and Jarrett are putting on Bam defensively, further away from the basket, making him make decisions. When he's having to do all of that with those guys on him, what does that do for the rest of you guys defensively?
I mean, they're our anchors of our defense, and they're so versatile. They can pressure a guy, an all-star like Bam, out on the three-point line. They can, bump him in the post. They can switch on the guards. Evan had one play today where I got beat, and he stopped the ball and blocked the shot when the guy dropped it off. Like, guys aren't doing that. So Evan and Jay are just they anchor our defense. They've been doing it all year, and they were phenomenal tonight.
Donovan, the word composure has come up a lot today, and the other day it was keeping composure when the game's tight. Today it's keeping composure when you're up 20, they go on to make their little run. Like, talk to me about how it doesn't really matter at what point of the game, whether you're up or down, how you guys have to lock into that.
I think, the biggest thing is just a group effort. I think, understanding that this is a team that's never going to go away. They're always going to play hard, play aggressive. So respect to them, and also coming in respecting your opponent in that regard and being like, look, when we get out there, I don't care. And I said in the pregame huddle, like, I don't care if we're up 10, down 20, up 20. We can continue to play the same way for 48 minutes, and we did that tonight.
But after this game, Kenny said, look, Max is the ultimate role player, and specifically like for this group. Talk to me about what he's able to do out there on the floor that enables you guys just to be a better team.
I mean, you look at tonight, 16 points. He had 9 rebounds, he had 5 assists. Like, those are 3 different elements. I think his best play to me, he goes from top blocking Tyler Hero in the corner, rotates to Andrew Wiggins. Keep in mind we're up 25 or whatever at this point. Rotates, gets verticality, makes a great defensive play, sprints down the court, knocks down a 3. Like, that's championship basketball. That's who Max Strus is. That's what he brings to us. He's been that way for us all year. And he's not just your typical shooter. Everybody looks at him as just a shooter. He does so much for us, and it's just a special. He's a special human, but also like a player, man. He does it all for us.
You have a commanding 3-0 lead in this series. Kenny mentioned how one of the things that he's learned is being fresh is important. So when you can close out a series early, you got to.
Got to be greedy. Understanding that we're going to get their best shot. Like I said, they're a group that's always going to continue to fight, so you got to put up another effort like tonight, and continue to be, who we've been on the defensive end, and then offense will carry over.
Going back to Max, just bigger picture, what has he brought to this team since he arrived from Miami?
A level of desperation, he does it all. He knocks down shots. Like I said, he rebounds the ball. Finishing at the rim now, little floaters that we've been working on the two-man game. And then, he just, there's a leadership there. Everybody talks about my leadership, but we don't really give Max enough credit. Like, his leadership, and he really leads by action. He doesn't really necessarily speak a lot, but, when he does, we listen. And then you look at tonight, set the tone. Does a great job on Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, whoever we throw him out there on. And you see it. He's been that way since he got here, and he's continuing to be the reason why we're going to continue to do big things.
What have you thought of what Evan's done defensively against Bam throughout this series?
He's made it tough. but you're the defensive player of the year. You know, that's what you do. And Bam's a guy that's a high level player, really talented. So trying to make things tougher on him. And Evan's done a really phenomenal job being there, but also being in help. You know, having our backs, being able to switch, communication. His communication this series has been phenomenal. For a guy that doesn't say two words off the floor, he's been, you know, we've challenged him, we've challenged J.A. to talk more in coverages, to talk, let guys know where the help is, and he's been phenomenal.
Kenny talked about the pressure that those two are putting on Bam far away from the basket where he's got the ball beyond the arc. How does that help you guys defensively when bigs can put that much pressure outside the perimeter?
Because Bam's a hell of a passer. He's a hell of a playmaker. So when you got a guy like that, you got to make it tough. You got to take away his vision. You know what I mean? But when you have two guys that can kind of rotate and do that, that's special. And then also, when need be, they're switching onto the ball. You know what I mean? When they switch, they're switching aggressively. They're switching up. You know, making the offensive player go backwards. You know what I mean? And then when we're top blocking, they're not getting back cuts. You know, but that's a testament to Ev, to Jay, to their commitment on that end of the floor.
When you individually don't have to go off for 30-plus points, and yet you win a game like this so convincingly in the playoffs, and you're out DG, like, what does that say about who this team is?
Yeah, I mean, I had no doubt. You know, for me, like I always tell you, it's not always going to be 30 every night. We have a special group. It's going to be somebody different every single night. My biggest thing is making sure I'm always there as a leader. You know, I'm there defensively there, and it's just a testament to our group, what we've built. You know, Ty Jerome, DeAndre Hunter, Max Strus, J.A., he's setting the tone for us. Evan, like, the list goes on and on. Dean Wade was phenomenal. Sam was phenomenal. So for me, my job is like to be the leader of this group. But yeah, when you shoot the way I shot and we're up by that much, it's a testament to the trust, but also a testament to the group that we have here.
It's verbal back and forth between Tyler and Darius. How, if at all, did that raise your focus going into this one, wanting to have Darius's back?
I think the biggest thing is we understood who we were playing. You know, understand that regardless of words were exchanged or not, you know, this is a really talented group, a really talented organization, a really talented head coach, and they were going to be ready. You know, I think that was more so the focus. I think, you know, obviously it was everywhere, but it's more so an external thing. I think internally we had our own look. We understand what's coming. We understand what this group brings, and we respect them and understand, like, look, we got to continue to do what we did, and we did that for 48 minutes.
Is there anything you need to do to avoid complacency, being up 3 games to nothing in a series?
Watch the film and do exactly what we did tonight, you know, understanding that, especially when the shots weren't falling. That third quarter, to start the third, was huge. I missed 2 shots, Max misses 1, but we're still playing defense. Like, that's the level of desperation. We're up 20 in the fourth. That group that started the fourth, man, like, putting the foot on their throat, like, that's the level of desperation we're going to need for 48 minutes.